Slum 1200 GGI Mob, and I'm back. Slum 1200 GGI Mob, and I'm back. Slum 1200 GGI Mob, and I'm back. Back.
Sleeping on your beat, that shit there could be bad for you. Nigga catch you slipping, that shit could get mad up. Creatures on the creep lurking, call it the last supper. 100 on the Mac 90, call that bitch Mag Muffin.
Slum 1200 GGI Mob shit, and I'm back. So we going to Cali with it. We going to Oakland to be exact. And we gonna be talking about Felix Mitchell. Felix the Cat Mitchell. Big 6'9" mob, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Cali, shout out to Oakland, man. Rest in peace to Felix Mitchell. You feel me? But Felix Wayne Mitchell Jr. will be born August 23rd, 1954. And will be deleted on August 21st, 1986. Felix was a drug lord from Oakland, California, and a leader of the 6'9" mob criminal organization, which operated throughout California and into the Midwest. He was known as Felix the Cat Mitchell after the cartoon character.
His reputation was very widely known throughout the city of Oakland.
He was big. I mean, he had the town. This was his town.
They spoke of him like the leader of Oakland. What gangster do you know that the city would allow you to block the streets off for a parade?
Celebrating the life of this big-time dope dealer.
Right along in here, I need just a little bit more room, please. A little bit more room.
Just when the East Bay thought one of its most notorious hoods was gone forever, he came back to star in a funeral production fit for a king. Alas, it was his own. 32-year-old convicted drug racketeer Felix Mitchell was stabbed to death last week in his cell at Leavenworth. Mitchell was convicted in San Francisco federal court earlier this year after allegations that he was the kingpin in an East Oakland heroin dealership that featured fancy cars, flashy parties, and murders. Murders including victims who had nothing to do with Mitchell's mob, innocent people who were killed merely by accident. His neighborhood, however, was divided today on whether Felix Mitchell was a hero or a villain.
The family has a right to a private funeral. I don't think they have a right to force this kind of thing on the community in Oakland, and I'm very upset about it. Felix dealt in drugs over here in the village for years. He used young kids to deal with drugs. I don't think any of us here want our kids to be brought up that way. And I think this is a good example of what happens when you deal with drugs.
If you put some jobs here, maybe we won't have this on the streets of Oakland. That's what it takes. You understand?
And I know what he done. He was a good man. And we need to tell the city officials that if they get the jobs out there, then maybe it wouldn't be so much drugs in Oakland.
There were others interested in the garish parade that made its way right down San Pablo Avenue, tying up traffic and amazing onlookers.
This is totally ridiculous.
And they were the detectives who helped send Mitchell to prison.
We're heading towards Lake Merritt.
They were looking for Mitchell's possible successor, and their somewhat ostensible vantage point was Mitchell's favorite red Ferrari, seized by the government under a new law. At the church, hundreds of people were turned away from the sellout funeral, but many were lucky enough to get souvenir programs. Others just watched, quietly wondering how to explain all this to their children.
Mitchell was born in Oakland and lived in the 69th Avenue San Antonio Village housing projects. After dropping out of high school, Mitchell created a criminal organization called My Other Brother, or 6'9" Mob, aka Mob. Connected with LA Kingpin Tootie Reese, he made business contacts in the Bay Area, Los Angeles, and Detroit. For more than a decade, Mitchell battled competition from Mickey Moore's crime family and the Funktown USA gang to gain total control of the heroin market. Before 1984-1985, the widespread practice of freebase and cocaine, heroin use was more common. It is estimated that Mitchell brought it in as much as $5 million annually. Mitchell was targeted by local and federal enforcement, and he was convicted in 1985 and sentenced to life in prison at Leavenworth Federal Penitentiary, where he was fatally stabbed on August 21st, 1986, 2 days before his 32nd birthday, a little more than a year later. Mitchell's funeral gained national attention as an example of the impact of drugs and drug culture was having on the country's youth. Thousands of people lined the streets to pay their respects as the funeral procession went through Mitchell's old Oakland neighborhood.
The funeral of Felix Mitchell was a wonder. Bay horses leading, Rolls Royces following. He was the drug lord of East Oakland who made $20,000 to $30,000 a day selling narcotics in a slum, ending up murdered in prison. Some role model.
He cool. He real cool. I like the way he died, you know. He died in style.
Put your hands behind your back.
Some neighborhood where the drug organization was the most visible employer, where a kid could start as a cop spotter for a couple hundred a week and rise to distributor for thousands.
Oh my goodness, look at the money. What do you do for a living?
You can't be in East Oakland and stay out of trouble because you see dudes, they get rich hecka fast, they have flashy cars, hecka beats, big fat ropes, all the girls, and you be like, yeah, I want that too.
I could have sold drugs. I could have hooked up with some gang, you know. I could have went to school, which is what I chose to do.
This is the story of two brothers from Felix Mitchell's neighborhood, Curtis and Gerald Lee, facing the odds in East Oakland.
I would think the odds are somewhere around 50-50, that a youngster can go either way.
And so I teach them that you can get more out of the books than you can out there in the streets.
Curtis's odds appeared to be improved by his basketball. College scouts were looking at him.
Got some scholarships in school, and he was like, yeah, it's going to be cool now. Everything will be all right.
For Gerald, the younger brother, a father at 15 with a jail record by 16, his odds were improved by Curtis leaning on him.
I didn't want to see him make the same mistake my older brothers made, you know. Neither one of them graduated from high school.
But first, Castlemont High needed cleaning up from the gangs and guns and drugs that had the run of it.
How can you come get your education if you have to duck and dodge bullets? You got people down here with 38s, 45 Uzis.
Curtis and a friend went to the Board of Education with a petition to get rid of the principal they accused of hiding from the problems.
Students can't even go to class without the fear of being shot or jumped on by somebody who don't even go to the school.
They won. The high school turned around.
I'm not going to frisk him. I know he doesn't have a knife on him.
The new principal says Curtis was an outstanding student.
And we were all looking forward to his graduation until this unfortunate situation that he was involved in.
I was just looking in there, there was a gun in there.
So you picked it up?
Yes, I picked it up.
Self-defense, he said, in a car with the wrong kids, shot at by other wrong kids, everybody reaching for a gun. A boy died, not by Curtis's gun, but the prosecutor said he shared an intent to kill.
I said, you fired a gun? All that stuff we went through to Castle Mountain, you gonna tell me you fired a gun? And you know, it's a bunch to take.
Got in the wrong car with the wrong guys, got involved, wrong decision. And that's not an uncommon situation for some of our kids. They're vulnerable, they make the wrong choices, and they end up with the wrong consequence.
Finding defendant Curtis Lee Jr. guilty of a felony to wit, murder in the second degree.
Curtis is now serving 17 to life in Folsom Prison. And his younger brother Gerald, who was a straight-A student by the time he finished high school, is dead.
He can't be gone. He can't.
Killed in a car crash while racing from police who thought he was someone else. Curtis will be up for parole in a couple of years. He'll have to survive Folsom Prison, where there were 186 stabbings last year, 8 of them fatal. Then he'd have to survive the old neighborhood to beat the odds. His trial judge is not optimistic.
Well, there's a good possibility of him becoming a victim of the system.
His late brother agreed.
If you be around nothing but criminals for 17 years, I think you're going to be a straight criminal.
My dream is to be financially stable, or have a family, 2, 3 kids, be a dominant factor in their life, you know, somebody they can really look up to.
It strikes me that we're really talking not just about Curtis, but about a good part of a whole generation of American young people.
We are indeed talking about a lot of Curtises.
And I kind of participated in my faith, you know, but I never thought I would end up in here.
John Hart, NBC News, Folsom, California.
His body was carried through streets by a horse-drawn carriage trailed by 14 Rolls-Royce limousines and was attended by the Black Panther Party co-founder Hillary P. Newton. According to an interview with Bay Area radio personality Jimmy Guy, I remember his funeral. It was like Martin Luther King died. And that coverage went all over the country. I didn't want my city to just be known for honoring a drug lord. Many civic leaders and citizens were appalled that the service was allowed to take place at all. Proper permits for the event had been filed. In 1987, Mitchell's conviction was overturned because he had died before an appeal could be heard. Criminologists named an effect after him known as the Felix Mitchell paradox, whereby after a major successful police operation, like the arrest of Mitchell, crime and violence both went up instead of going down, as one might expect. It is said that Felix had so much monopoly power in parts of Oakland that controlled pricing and the police, the violence of smaller gangs. When he was arrested, it left a power vacuum and a smaller gang started both price wars, shooting wars to fill the void.
There's a shooting war in Oakland, a deadly battle for turf between drug dealers, police, and citizens. The dealers shoot first and don't even bother to ask questions later. As Tom DeRees reports, the savagery in Oakland makes TV Vice seem almost nice.
For all its reputation, Miami this year has fewer murders for its size than Oakland, and Miami has nowhere near the number of drug-related killings. Oakland is in the midst of a violent battle over control of the drug trade. Police say that drugs have been responsible for 41 murders already this year. Miami police report only 16 drug-related killings so far. The Oakland totals as of this week: 98 homicides, 42% of them drug-related. Last year at this point there had been more murders in Oakland, 106, but only 27% involved drugs. Oakland homicide detectives say the new breed of crack dealer is younger and often armed with an automatic weapon. Lieutenant James Hahn says the dealers are casual about killing to protect their business.
Because of the younger age of these people, he doesn't go out and just break an arm. And now it's just they go out and they commit a murder. There is no attempt to collect on the debt anymore. It's just a punishment for failure to pay.
This funeral last year might have been the beginning of the trouble. Felix Mitchell was king of Oakland's drug trade, and he was killed in prison. 3 other Oakland drug lords also went to jail. The result was a vacuum in the drug business. Lieutenant Hahn.
What we have is an oversupply, so to speak, and easy access to an awful lot of people who want to get into the drug trade for the quick profits.
So if any of y'all remember Felix Mitchell out there, man, y'all get in that comment section, man. Hit that like button. Make sure the notifications turned on and hit that subscribe button and stay plugged. Slump 1200 GGI mob shit. Long live Felix Mitchell, man. Shout out to Cali, shout out to Oakland. You know what I'm saying? GGI mob shit.
Put a loaf of bread on your head like I was baby now. Niggas say they pull up and spray, wasn't no saving now. Shit, I'm out here trapping, no capping, trying to feed my baby now. Yeah, I keep the 50, you dig your grave, I'ma lay you in. I ain't with the back and forth beefing all on the internet. I'ma catch you lacking in traffic, nigga, and leave you there. Shit, I know some niggas will cut you, split you from ear to ear. Cut to the gristle, my nigga, rest in peace.